Hi, you're watching Leaf Life Bushcraft. My name's Craig. Today you join me for another tree ident. Today we're going to look at the alder. And just like normal, I'll find a specimen and we'll get set up. So here we have the alder, Alnus glitternosa. I'll flip that up on the screen for you. There we go. So other names for it, in fact I'll just stand back a little bit. You can actually see it. Now this one's only obviously only a sapling, but some other names for it are fern, oller, whistlewood, and also Irish mahogany as well. Average height is between 18 to 25 metres and usually grows between 150 200 years. What I'll do now is I'll flash the another shot of the leaf, the bark, the buds and everything like that. Now the alder is obviously native to the UK, usually found in wet areas, bogs, on riversides, with its feet in the water you could say. Alder doesn't mind and quite likes its feet in water, and it's found quite well all across the Norfolk Broads and East Anglia and all that. As you can see, this is a clearing that they've cleared, and it is actually quite boggy. You can see all the bulrushes and that. So yeah, it's at a home here in the marshlands. But it also can be found on it's not solely on marshy ground. It can also be found in higher, drier areas as well. Now, like birch, alder is another pioneering species. That means it quickly takes a hold. I mean, especially of damp ground and marshy lands. It quickly takes hold and kind of creates a nursery for bigger trees, for other trees. Now I've mentioned that a few times now. What I actually mean is, just like birch that I'm actually stood on here, what you'll find is the alder and the birch will quickly take a hold. in soil conditions that are not favourable to other trees. And what happens is every year they will then drop all its leaf, and that slowly but surely turns the soil conditions into more favourable conditions for bigger trees, like them ones down there. And I nearly stepped, oops, on that little guy there. So like I say, they grow like hell for the first 50 years, and the birch and the alder would say for the first 300 years would change these conditions and then make it more favourable for like ones like the oak here to grow. And then they also create like a shelter, if you would, for the oak, as you can see over here. See how dense that is. And if there's any hillside or anything like that, they're going to shelter these trees. This one here is, I don't want to show you into the sunlight, this one here is an alder as well. They create this, and then like I say, shades from the elements for the little growing oak trees and ash trees and such like. So the uses of alder. Alder is very resilient to decay in water. I mean, if it was as strong as oak, it would be probably used before oak really to build the big ships, but it's not got as much structural strength as oak. And so it's used for stuff like jetties, small boats, bridge piles and house piles that have been sunk into the water. In fact, most of Venice is actually stood on alder piles that are driven into the ground, and a lot of the bridges in Amsterdam was made, and some of them still are made out of piles that are driven into the ground made by alder. So cabinet makers also like this wood. It's flexible, it's strong, it's light, it's easily worked. The bark, the leaf and the shoots can be used as dyeing and tanning pigments, and that produces a yellow dye that can be used to dye leather. And the natives of Lapland, called the Laps, chew the bark of the alder and use the saliva to dye leather as well. So another use for it, it's actually traditionally burnt. This is the wood of choice to be burnt to smoke fish or smoke any other food products. It's normally alder used for that as well. And it also makes top quality charcoal. And right underneath it you can see there, birch, silver birch is growing right underneath it. So these grow arm in arm with each other. And like I said before, they're a pioneering species. Now, some ancient civilizations, going on to folklore, some ancient civilizations actually think this is the natural embodiment of evil, this tree. And that's because when it is cut, it then goes like a reddish colour once it's obviously been exposed to air. And they thought it was the tree bleeding. So they thought that this tree was the embodiment of evil. Now also, alder, woodworm, the beetles would actually prefer to lay their eggs in alder than anything else. So there was instances of branches of alder being put in cupboards and such like to act as a distraction for woodworm. So they would rather, you know, go across and lay the eggs in the branches of the alder than laying them in the cupboards. So that was another use stroke folklore for it. In Ireland, it's thought unlucky to pass an alder on your journey, probably because alder grows in marshy, boggy grounds, and if you pass one of them, you're probably going to get stuck anytime soon. But it was still very much a revered tree, and it was classified a criminal offence to actually cut down an alder. While in Norse mythology, the first people were said to be made from ash and alder. So obviously, like I say, you find it in marshy, boggy places over here. Over in New Zealand, it's classified an invasive species. It's classified as a weed, bit like the sycamore over here, really. So yeah, so that concludes the alder. What I'll do is I'll flash a couple of pictures of alder when it's cut. I managed to find myself again on another job, on a customer's job, who's cutting an alder down, and it had a burl on it, so I managed to cut the burl off. But I'll go home, I'll get some pictures of that, and I'll flash them up, and you can just see the reddish brown tint to it once you cut alder. So anyway, thanks for joining me. See you again soon.